Boy, do I have a reality show for you. I don't know even how I found out about this, that this existed. It shouldn't exist. That's for damn sure. In July of 2022, press releases started to be released about America's Next Great Author, America's Got Talent or American Idol, but for writers. Which, like, cute, great. You like reading books. I like reading books. A reality show about reading books and writers and writing things. Great. Sounds great until you think about it for literally 2 seconds. Let's see what they were planning. This is America's Next Great Author, a reality TV show for writers by writers. It's incredible. Just take it all in. So, this is a groundbreaking reality television series that will never come out, let's be clear. There's no way this could ever possibly be released. Apparently, they filmed the pilot in October of 2022, and, well, they haven't updated their social media in a while. So, RIP. Let's see what this could have been, though. First, nationwide tryouts in iconic American cities will show off amateur writers as they get 1 minute to pitch their book ideas to a panel of publishing experts. Okay, great. Pitching competition sounds like it could be a little bit boring. The most exciting part about any of these kinds of talent-based reality shows is both seeing people that are surprisingly good, and also just watching people miserably fail and embarrass themselves for our entertainment. The thing with writing and writing pitches is that the worst thing you could possibly do is bore your audience. Boring them is not terribly fun to watch. And I can only imagine if someone came in with a I can't imagine someone being able to embarrass themselves the way that you would need to for watching the tryouts to be entertaining. I also can't imagine anyone wowing you with their idea because anyone can wow you with an idea. It's not hard to come up with a 1 minute pitch. The problem is you actually have to then be able to write the book, which is the hard part. That's why ghost writers exist. It's because the writing is the hard technical part that you need skills for, not the pitch. Anyone can come up with a good pitch. That part's not terribly hard. I just don't see how this could possibly be interesting. I forgot where I read this, but someone once said that there's a rule that you can never bring up the book that you're working on in polite dinner conversation because nobody cares. Even if they politely ask you about it, nobody cares. No matter how interesting your book might be, or how fun your concept is, or how much those people care about you, it's hard to care about something that's not real and in front of you and talk about the things that might be rather than the things that are. It's just more interesting to talk about a piece of art that's on the wall than a piece of art that's in your head. So the idea that this whole show is based around just talking theoretically about something is only really interesting for people who are like writers who already do that. And so I don't know who this show is for. There's not enough writers. You have the show has to be for readers because there just aren't enough actual writers to be interested in this. You need millions of people watching a show for it to be successful. And in order to make there's just not enough writers that would tune into the show. You have to make it accessible for readers because there's enough readers to make a show about books viable, but this doesn't appeal to them because you can't read the fucking book. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. 8 charismatic finalists from vastly different places and backgrounds will enter the House of Dreams together for a month of live wire challenges and spectacular storytelling. These talented amateurs will start their books from scratch on day 1 and finish the first draft of the novel by the end of 30 days. So back in February, I read this book called The Writing Retreat. It was about, I forget how many, it was about a bunch of writers who were selected for this beautiful writing retreat from this really successful author. It was like out in her remote cabin in the middle of the woods, and the idea was that they were going to have to write a full draft of their book in, I think it was like 6 weeks. And like, to be fair, that's hard. It's also not something you do thinking you're gonna like, look, we all love NaNoWriMo, right? NaNoWriMo is great for getting your first draft on the page. That first draft, unless you are spectacularly talented beyond any writer that I've ever read, frankly, that first draft is not going to be good, especially if you're writing it that fast. It might be a clean first draft that requires minimal edits, but minimal edits still means 50, 60 hours of work to get a second draft, which you are then going to have to turn into a third draft, and so on. You just can't write a full book that's completed in 30 fucking days. Like, which, like, it's fine to, like, have a writing retreat where you get your first draft out and you're, like, spurred on by all this energy from being around the other amazing writers, and, like, there's a little bit of competition. But how can you have a competition when everyone is producing shit? How can you enjoy reading the excerpts that these people are going to come up with when it's going to be like one or two really good paragraphs and the rest of it is going to be shit? Because that's just how the writing process is. It's like if you had an art competition that was only based on sketches and no finished work whatsoever. You can't, at a certain point, the audience is going to want to see the finished product. Okay, let's keep going. As you can see, you can still sign up for casting calls. Climactic finale will reveal who made it to the finish line when their published books are presented to the viewing audience. Again, how are you going to present a book on TV? Are you just going to have... I don't understand. Okay, so this is the host, Kwame Alexander. These are the judges, and those are the mentors. I don't mean to be rude. I've never read or heard of these people. I have never once heard of these people. Which, like, is fine. That doesn't mean they're bad writers or that they shouldn't be judging a reality competition. Like, the bar for being a judge for that is low anyway. But just in terms of marketability, you'd think that they would find like a Stephen King or a Margaret Atwood or a Lemony Snicket, people who are household names that people know of, to kind of like, oh yeah, I want to hear his opinion because if he likes this book and I love his work, you know. So it feels like they've already kind of lost on the fact that they can't get anyone more famous than these people to judge it, right? That feels like a miss. Let's continue. Yeah, so it seems like a bunch of these people. So the host and these mentors are the producers, which fine. Again, I still don't understand how these people think that this is going to work. Oh, and there's a big announcement coming soon. So, okay. So America's Next Great Author is currently in development. We filmed a proof of concept in New Jersey. 2 days of filming consisted of a live pitch-a-palooza competition, a writer's workshop, and sample challenges. How can I watch the series? You can't. What's the tone? Think Queer Eye. Lizzo's Keeping Up with the Big Girls. That hasn't aged well. And The Great British Baking Show. Lots of support from fellow writers and constructive feedback from judges who want you to succeed. Okay, at least writers retain their rights. My biggest problem with this is that writing is just not very visual. We have cooking shows where you can't taste the finished product, but you can tell when someone is making something really cool because of the visual presentation, how they're describing the taste to you, and the reactions of the judges. With writing, you can only hear snippets of it, which like can tell you that parts of it are good. But again, it's easy to create a really good one paragraph summary of something and have the rest of it be absolute trash. The whole thing is part of one big work. You have to judge the work as a whole, and you physically can't do that. There's no visual component to writing. It's just words on a screen. So how they're going to make these challenges exciting, I'm not really sure. Like there are writing challenges on AuthorTube all the time that are really fun to write about, people like doing 24-hour challenges or writing like this author for a day, which is fun. But A, it's not a competition. And B, most of that content is watchable only on the strength of the personalities of the writers. I just don't understand how this can work in a competition format and how they could be judged against each other, particularly if they're writing in different genres. How do you compare a children's book to a George R. R. Martin novel? You can't, because it requires different skills and you have to think about different things when you're doing each activity. There's no way that this could possibly be entertaining. If you were dead set on creating a writing or book themed show, that this could work. If you were doing children's books, which partnered with an illustrator, so there was like a visual component and the books were short enough that you could get through a bunch of them in a short amount of time, that could work. Or if it was a competition about creating comics or manga, there's again a visual element. And there's just less content than there is in like a regular traditional novel, so you could potentially get a sense of the story. There's a reason this hasn't been done before, and that's because it's a terrible idea. However, it does look like we are never going to get anything, that nothing of this is going to come to fruition because it's just bad. I feel like this project has completely collapsed, and I think that might be for the best. I wish all of the producers well on their journeys. It seems like they're very successful people. Otherwise, they will be fine. So I just need to share the ridiculousness of it with you because someone else needs to know about this, about how terrible this is. I can't live with the knowledge of this just inside my brain. If anyone knows anything else about the show that I didn't mention or has any updates, let me know. If this show ever comes out, I will absolutely be covering it. But until then, like, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.